If you've been diagnosed with IBS, you know how frustrating it can be. But what if IBS is not the real problem? It's actually just a cluster of symptoms, and the true issue could lie in your gut microbiome. In this video, I'm going to break down the diagnosis criteria for IBS, why it's often just a label for gut symptoms, and how restoring your gut microbiome could be the real solution. I'm Erin Harner, a registered dietitian nutritionist with over 15 years of experience in functional and integrative medicine, helping women just like you get to the root of their digestive issues for good. All right, let's dive in. The diagnosis criteria for IBS can be kind of confusing. It's often diagnosed based on the presence of recurring abdominal pain, bloating, and changes in bowel habits, like constipation, diarrhea, or both. The diagnosis criteria for IBS is actually called the Rome 4 criteria. It's been revised a few times and defines IBS based on recurring symptoms, not a clear cause. Symptoms, not a cause. It's a cluster of symptoms, and this makes it a functional gastrointestinal disorder. There are also 4 subtypes of IBS, and they're based on stool patterns. So the first one is IBS-C for constipation, IBS-D for diarrhea, IBS-M for mixed, some combination of diarrhea and constipation, and IBS-U or unclassified. One can't just figure out what's going on. There's no clear pattern. Diarrhea, constipation, it's all over the place. Unclassified IBS-U. There's no criteria or no category that the symptoms fit into. The problem here is that a diagnosis of IBS doesn't actually tell us why you're having these symptoms, or what's causing them, what to do about them, or what will actually work for you, because there's not many proven things that help with IBS because we haven't identified the cause of why you're having it. The reasons behind the symptoms vary depending on the person, right? And this is part of the problem. For someone, bloating could be a result of bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine, or SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. For another person, it could be constipation. Another person, bloating could be a result of a FODMAP intolerance. So when they eat high FODMAP foods or something like fructans or polyols, they have a reaction or bloating as a result. Or for another person, it could be yeast overgrowth in the gut. But without actually understanding why these symptoms are there in the first place, diagnosing a cluster of symptoms isn't all that helpful because we don't know what to do about it. We need to actually address the root causes. And that brings me to the second point. The real cause is your gut microbiome. There's something going on with the gut microbiome that is contributing to these symptoms. So research shows that imbalances in the gut microbiome are often behind IBS symptoms. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. The gut microbiome refers to trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, which play a crucial role. They do things like digestion. They help with immune function and overall health, right? The root of overall health lies in your gut, specifically in your gut microbiome. And disruption in this microbiome, like a loss of beneficial bacteria, for example, or an overgrowth of harmful bacteria, can lead to bloating, constipation, and diarrhea that we often associate with IBS. So here's the thing. Instead of just managing IBS symptoms, we actually have to address the gut imbalances in the gut microbiome so that we can get to the root cause of the problem. Next, restoring gut health to eliminate IBS symptoms. First, we have to identify the imbalance. So the key to resolving IBS is understanding that they stem from an imbalance of your gut microbiome. These symptoms, gut microbiome imbalance. Keep this in mind. So whether it's an overgrowth of harmful bacteria or a deficiency in beneficial bacteria, these imbalances disrupt digestion. They disrupt the function of the digestive system, and they lead to bloating, constipation, and other things. We also need to rebalance the gut. So the first step in healing is to restore balance. This means reducing the overgrowth of bad bacteria and replenishing the good. Sometimes we use things like probiotics, which are beneficial strains of bacteria, or prebiotics, which is the food for the probiotics themselves, to nourish the gut and bring balance to the gut. We also need to heal the gut lining. So the gut lining or gut hyperpermeability can be a big problem, leading to some symptoms as well. So chronic IBS symptoms can cause inflammation and weaken your gut lining. Specific nutrients, things like L-glutamine, omega-3 fatty acids, and certain fibers can actually support the healing of the gut lining and reduce inflammation in the gut and elsewhere in the body. Remember, over 80% of your immune system lies just beyond the single cell layer of your gut epithelial wall called the gut-associated lymphatic tissue. 80% of your immune system lies in your gut. The real path to eliminating IBS symptoms is to rebalance the gut microbiome. We have to identify what's wrong and correct the imbalances for long-term gut relief. So I have a program, it's called the Gut Balance Method, and we focus on improving the health of your gut microbiome to resolve these IBS symptoms. Through personalized diet recommendations, probiotics if needed, prebiotics if needed, and supporting the digestive organs, things like the pancreas, the gallbladder, the small intestine, the colon, all of these things work together to help with digestion and digestive function. And if the gut microbiome is off, oftentimes that can lead to digestive organs not functioning as well as we want them to. So my number one goal is to improve the resilience of the gut microbiome so that your gut can actually handle things, whatever it encounters, and support the health of your whole body. You don't have to live with IBS symptoms. There's a way to address the root causes and actually heal your gut. So in this video, we discussed how IBS is diagnosed based on symptoms. It's a cluster of symptoms. It's a functional gastrointestinal disorder. Why it's often not the real problem, and how focusing on your gut microbiome can actually help you find lasting relief from these digestive issues. So if you want more tips on digestion and digestive function, IBS, be sure to grab my free guide, and I'll put the link below.